Well, first of all, good morning, everyone, and I'm really very grateful to Gerald and the whole team of UNISECO for the invitation, and I'm very happy to really to be with you, because I can only echo the words of my colleague Lara in relation to the the important contribution that I think UNISECO is indeed doing to policy making, to the relevance that the project is having at this particular moment when you look at the policy context, and in relation to agroecological approaches. I think it's very timely. It's a pity that the project is coming to an end, but at the same time, I think it is coming to an end in a very timely moment in which we are going to really need a lot of knowledge and a lot of evidence in order to continue to make policies in agriculture and other areas as well. So my name is, as you can see on the screen, is Susana GAONA. I am a research program officer in the DG Agriculture and Rural Development of the European Commission. I am working in the Research and Innovation Unit. So we are in charge of programming the whole research innovation activities under the Research and Innovation Framework Program of the European Union, Horizon 2020, and right now we're very busy with Horizon Europe, as you may know. And I've been asked, Gerald has asked me to provide a little bit of the policy context in the European Union for ecological approaches, or for agroecological approaches. I'm going to try and touch upon. It's not going to be an exhaustive presentation, because there are many things that could be mentioned, but I have tried to pick up and choose the most relevant ones from my perspective. So if you go to the next slide, please. Can you go to the next slide, please? Yeah, thank you. So, of course, as I think Lara has already mentioned, we have the European Green Deal already published more than 1 year ago. And I think it shows clearly not only the great ambition and the very challenging ambition, I would say, of making Europe a climate neutral continent by 2050. It is really, I think it's really putting agroecological approaches on the stage, because it's mentioning in different strategies. It's really putting sustainable agricultural practices in general, and in particular agroecology, organic farming, precision farming, and others at the center of the stage. So I think it's really key. I think it's maybe the first time that we have such a clear reference to specifically to agroecology in a policy document of this kind. There are, as you know, under the Green Deal, there are different strategies and initiatives relevant, directly or indirectly relevant for the farming sector. I have highlighted the ones that I see that are really having a direct impact on our sector. Is Farm to Fork strategy, the EU Biodiversity Strategy, and also I think also the Climate Pact and the Climate Law, because as you know, agriculture is also one of the sectors that of course has to contribute to climate neutrality, and I think also actions there and initiatives there that are important and relevant also for agroecological approaches. If you could go to the next slide, please. I think you cannot see it very well. Yeah, thank you. Now you can see the full screen. Well, this is just an extract of some of the parts of the Farm to Fork strategy. I'm sure you have already had a look at that, and really agroecology and other approaches such as organic farming, carbon farming, agroforestry are explicitly mentioned in the strategy. First of all, you have the partnership that Lara referred to earlier on. Is the partnership that we are, well, to precise, we are not, it's not yet launched. We are fully busy preparing it as we speak right now, but it's going to be one of the candidate partnerships that we will have under Horizon Europe, and it's going to be to have the objective of upscaling and promoting the uptake of agroecology in Europe. And indeed, in this case, I truly believe that UNISECO's results and ideas also for future research and innovation needs are going to be key in this context. But also the Farm to Fork strategy refers to the, as you may know, the eco schemes that are also expected to offer a big stream of funding to boost sustainable agriculture practices. And in this regard, again explicitly mentions agroecology, agroforestry, organic farming, and other approaches. And also in the sense of international cooperation, it is also important to note that agroecology is identified also as one of the main areas to foster this international collaboration. So that's also quite significant, I believe. Next slide, please. I think a bit more. Yeah, thank you. So for the EU biodiversity strategy, similarly, it also recalls the role that agroecology can play in providing healthy food, maintaining productivity, increasing soil fertility and biodiversity, and reducing the footprint of food production. It also recalls the need for the CAP to become to ensure that the CAP plans in particular are assessed against robust climatic and environmental criteria. That's also relevant in the context of UNISECO, I believe. And again, insist on the need to move and to promote these more sustainable practices, such as agroecology and others. If you can go to the next slide, please. So what does it mean? I mean, all these strategies, the Green Deal, etc. As you know, they set very specific targets, some quantified, other not quantified, but equally important. All of them are going to affect, especially the ones you can see on the screen, but there are also others, are going to have an impact, direct impact on the farming sector, on forestry sector, and also on rural areas, rural communities. So the role of farmers and the role of policies in supporting farmers also in this transition is going to be really key. But of course, we have, fortunately, already some elements and some of those instruments in place, and this is going to be crucial in helping the transition. I'm going to give just an overview of some of them. Of course, you're already aware of those. If you can go to the next slide, please. This slide just reminds us that we have to achieve all these targets by 30, which means only 9 years, 9 growing seasons. And it's again making the emphasizing the fact that we really need to step up the efforts from all fronts: policy of all types, agriculture policy, research and innovation, and I mean all possible tools that need to be coming together to support the sector in achieving these ambitious targets. Next, please. One of those is, of course, as you know, the future common agricultural policy is currently under negotiation, as you know, and it has already, well, from the beginning in the proposal, we could see that it has great ambitions in the sense that it wants to really contribute to the ambitions and to the objectives that we have at international level and European level in environment and climate aspects. So for this reason, the CAP is going to have, as you know, a new green architecture. It's going to have enhanced conditionality, and in particular, I say because it's more recently you may have seen a publication by the European Commission on some proposed list of eco schemes. The eco schemes are going to be really it's designed to contribute and to a top up, let's say, the requirements from the enhanced conditionality that's already set for, and also in articulation with the measures, agro-environmental measures under the second pillar of the CAP. And it's going to be really a good opportunity for all of us, for all countries, for farmers to deliver on the commitments of the Green Deal. So this is really the core of this proposed list of eco schemes recently published. The condition is that they really need to show that they contribute to the Green Deal target. So it's really another opportunity for the CAP to show how we are going to contribute to this more global ambition or European ambition on climate change. As you know, this is under negotiation, as I've mentioned, with the member states. It's just a list proposed to guide the discussions. And if you go to the next slide, in case you have not seen this list, there is a relation of all different practices that could be considered for support under the eco schemes. Well, it is still the next slide. This is just to show basically what I have just said, that the compare the CAP structure that we had right now and the one that we are going to have in the future, and how the eco schemes are going to, let's say, go a step beyond the conditions and the requirements that we have so far. Now you can go to the next slide, please. just to show the list of eco schemes, the possible practices that can be supported under the eco schemes. As you can see, of course, organic farming practices, integrated pest management are de facto considered there, but they also add others such as agroecology, agroforestry, high natural value farming, carbon farming, precision farming, and many others. So in this regard, I think in the context of the negotiations and in the context of the preparation of the CAP plans, I really believe that the results that UNISECO has found, the different tools that you have developed, are going to be particularly useful for the Commission in evaluating, first of all, the member states when preparing the CAP plans and deciding which practices they can support, but also for the Commission in evaluating later on these CAP plans. So it is really a very good moment, I would say, for your results to come on stage. If you go to the next slide, please. This one I just wanted to show a tentative timeline for the CAP strategic plans. Perhaps you already have this information. Perhaps the most interesting thing or the most interesting information is the third, what you can see on the third block. It's more or less the tentative timeline for the finalization and the submission of the CAP plans expected by the end of this year. So right now it's a good moment to perhaps engage with the member states in discussing the CAP plans and see what is being designed there. When the approval of the CAP plans is going to happen some point in 2022. I wouldn't be able to tell you exactly when, but it's going to be perhaps the whole of next year. And then the idea is to have starting the CAP plans already the 1st of January 2023. So that I think is maybe important for UNISECO to be aware of and to see how to engage with the member states, but also with the Commission colleagues. And this is where I would be very happy to continue to play the role of putting you in contact with the colleagues dealing with the negotiations and involving in supporting member states and advising member states in deciding which practices and which measures they are going to put in place in their specific countries. If you go to the next, please. If we now move to research and innovation, of course, it's talking about the tools that we have at hand to support this transition and to achieve these objectives, ambitious objectives set by the Green Deal. We have, of course, research and innovation. As you know, well, Horizon 2020, the former program, finished already in 2020. So it was from 2014 to 2020. And there, well, we followed an approach that, of course, we are going to continue in Horizon Europe, by which we could put in practice our strategy for EU agricultural research, which you can see to the left of the slide. Actually, it is interesting because we developed this strategy already in 2016, and already there we had identified already some of the challenges that now the Green Deal has confirmed. So already more than 3 years before then, we were already having a clear path towards sustainability and resonating quite nicely, I would say, with the objectives and the targets of the Green Deal and the different strategies. So we have put into practice this strategy, pulling together the strengths of two important policies. On the one hand, as I just explained, the CAP, the Common Agricultural Policy, and also the Research and Innovation Program, Horizon 2020, through the EIP Agri, the European Innovation Partnership on Agricultural Sustainability and Productivity. Well, this is allowing in the end to come up to an impressive amount, I think, of projects that we have been able to fund under Horizon 2020. The total has been 315 projects for a total amount of 1.9 billion euro. Many of those, 190, are really multi-actor projects. One of them is UNISECO, of course, and the amount is really, well, I would say 50% of the budget that we had for the whole Horizon 2020 has been for multi-actor projects. So we have really made sure that projects are involving from the beginning in these multi-actor projects, involving but in a genuine manner the end users, and we have made sure that we have put together the different actors that need to be involved in co-creating and in finding solutions to the challenges that farmers face in the different contexts. On the EIP side, of course, we have many different activities, as you may know. Under the rural development programs, we fund under the CAP, we fund operational groups. We have so far about 2,000 running. So it's an impressive amount, I would say, and they are dealing with different aspects. I will later on in the next slide give a little bit of more information about those that are specifically or more specifically working on agroecological approaches or on organic farming. There are plenty of them. Of course, also other activities, networking activities under the EIP Agri, such as the focus groups, knowledge exchange, web platform. So this is going, this is really is functioning. It's really a successful approach by which we are ensuring this instrument is really allowing us to put together research with implementation on the ground. So really making sure that the research results are having an impact on the ground. And we, as I say, we continued with this approach in the future. So this is going to be for sure the case. Can you go to the next slide, please? If you go a little bit more, yeah, thank you. So for ecological approaches in Horizon 2020 and then under the EIP, well, on one of the 5 priorities I mentioned earlier under the 2016 strategy for agricultural research and innovation, we already identified ecological approaches from farm to landscape as one of the 5 priorities. So that's already being translated during the whole Horizon 2020 in more than I would say, what in the screen you can see 41. There's actually now around 45 projects working on different aspects, working on, well, UNISECO and LIFT are 2 of those, but then there are many others working on different agroecological aspects or organic farming, nitrogen fixing crops, crop diversification, etc. And the amount of EU funding devoted to this is also quite important, more than 240 million euro invested. So just to say that with agroecological approaches, we are not starting from scratch, or we are not starting now to work on it because the Green Deal has identified it as a priority. We have already a good base, knowledge base given by projects such as UNISECO and many others that we are going to really capitalize on as we move forward. And on the EIP side, well, I think well, UNISECO was for sure there, but many of you perhaps were also at the EIP Agri Innovation Summit organized in 2019 in France. It was devoted to agroecology, so that was quite a strong message. I think that agroecology was really coming up on the agenda also on the EIP side, and it was an opportunity, I think, this event to show that there is a strong community out there in the whole of the European Union ready to contribute and to work more on upscaling agroecology throughout the continent. And it also showed that, okay, there are many interesting initiatives going on, but at the same time showed the strong knowledge needs that we still have on agroecology. And this is also at the basis of developing our further actions in this area. When you go to the operational groups, we have made a little research and only looking at those that have agroecology in their title, we have found 40, but there are definitely more because, okay, as you know, well, agroecological approaches can be many different things, and I would say that almost half of the operational groups could be dealing in a way or another with the relevant aspects. So this is also quite impressive. If you go to the next slide, please. Now coming to the new program for research and innovation is Horizon Europe, as you know, goes from 2021 to 2027. This slide, I'm not going to enter into explaining it fully, but just wanted to show the new structure that Horizon Europe is going to have compared to Horizon 2020. The key pillar for all of us, I would say, is going to be Pillar 2, where we are going to have under different clusters the work program, so the research calls, and in particular the ones that are relevant for agriculture, rural development, and also for forestry is going to be under the cluster 6, the one you can see highlighted in green: food, bioeconomy, natural resources, agriculture, and environment. There we have we are going to devote around 9 billion euro for activities under this cluster. That's quite an impressive amount. It's quite an impressive also increase compared to the budget that we had under Horizon 2020 for these related areas. If you go to the next slide, please. One of the important things I think to highlight under Horizon 2020 is that we are going to have various instruments under the program to really forward the transition and to achieve the objectives. As I was mentioning earlier, we are going to have the calls for collaborative projects under the work program. But the first work program is going to cover from 2021 to 2022. We are, as we speak, we are currently finalizing this work program. The publication is expected to be around April, May. And there you will see that there's going to be a key role for ecological approaches, including agroecology, organic farming, and agroforestry, in line with the objectives and the priorities that we have at the European level, identified by, again, the Green Deal, the Farm to Fork, and other strategies also not mentioned on the slide, but we will soon have a new organic action plan that is also very relevant, I think, in this context. So with the work program, this first work program, we are really going to try and make a very big contribution to this ambition and make the research and innovation is really an enabler of this transition. Of course, just bearing in mind that Horizon 2020 Horizon Europe, sorry, is going to be until 2027. So this is the first work program. It's going to cover 2 years. We have 5 years remaining. We have roadmaps with research and innovation activities planned until 2027. So we can expect more activities, of course, in the next year, in the coming years. You have the research calls, but we also have other instruments such as missions. This is really new compared to the previous program. I'm not going to enter into giving much detail about the missions, but okay, what are the missions? Are going to be large-scale portfolio of coordinated actions that are really geared towards reaching a bold and inspirational objective. It's going to include, of course, research, but it's also about citizens' engagement. It's about really bringing research closer to population, to citizens in a wider sense. Among the ones that are being proposed, not yet approved, but proposed, is the one on soil health that I think is maybe the most relevant for us here today. It's going to be about soil health, as I say. The proposed title is Caring for Soils is Caring for Life, and it's going to cover the soil health challenges of all types of soils, not only agriculture, but also forestry and also industrial soils, etc. So it's going to be a bit larger than agriculture, but definitely is going to be also relevant there, because the idea is also to tap on the potential of agroecological approaches in achieving soil health and in making the soil functions really a reality, empowering them. Other type of instruments is going to be partnerships. This is not a new instrument, let's say, because under Horizon 2020 we already had partnerships called RNS and other approaches such as JPI, Joint Programming Initiatives, etc. But the partnerships under Horizon Europe are going to be more wide-ranging, let's say, bigger initiatives compared to the partnerships we had under Horizon 2020. And the idea is really to have more targeted actions, to involve really all stakeholders, and to also avoid perhaps duplications between the different activities. Under Cluster 6, we have 8 partnership candidates. One of them is the one on agroecology and living labs that Lara was mentioning at the beginning. As I say, we are building this as we speak with the potential member states and with the potential partners who are member states and associated countries. I'm not going to develop much this because it's going to be perhaps the focus of tomorrow's workshop. But just to give you an overview of what are going to be the main tools that we are going to have to achieve these targets, or to try and achieve these targets. If you go to the next, please. And I think it's almost the last one. Well, this is just to give an overview of how the work program 21-22 is structured. There are going to be 7 different destinations. That's what you can see to the left center of the slide, and to the right you can see the different intervention areas that are going to contribute to those destinations. One of them is agriculture, forestry, rural areas, but we have many others, food systems, we have environmental observation. And just to highlight here that these are not intervention areas that we have designed like working on silos. In preparing the work program of 21-22, we have really made sure that we have co-created and made sure that we have links between the different intervention areas in order to contribute to the destinations. And I think the last slide is going to show, if you go to the next, please, going to link with the beginning of the presentation, because I think it shows nicely how the different destinations under the first work program of Horizon Europe are going to contribute to the objectives and the initiatives set by the European Green Deal. So most of them, well, under Destination 2 is the maybe the most relevant for us, for agriculture. It's going to cover 3 intervention areas there, but as you can see, all over the place, we will have actions relevant for the different initiatives under the European Green Deal. I think that's the last slide. As I say, it was not aimed to be a very exhaustive presentation on the whole possible range of policies that we could mention in the case of ecological approaches or agroecological approaches, but just to give a hint of it, for the partnership, I understand we are going to discuss this more in detail tomorrow. So if you have any questions, if I'm able to reply, I have also mentioned a couple of things that are not really in the remit of what I do, like for instance, the CAP and the negotiations, etc. If there are questions along those lines, I can try to answer myself or direct you or point you to other colleagues or make sure that I give you the reply on those. So I hope it was useful. I hope it was not too long.